Bruce said, everything is evolving. So we really don't know. It can evolve differently, but it's evolving as things are going from day to day. The first thing to realize is that the first day that tax returns can even be filed is February 12th this year. And that may not be the first day that we want to file tax returns because of the tax law changes in the end of December. With the new, like the economic stimulus that was just passed, where you got your money, hopefully. All of those changes are affecting tax returns, and the IRS is still in the process of releasing forms. All the forms haven't even been released for this year. So all the software providers don't have their software updated yet. So they have opened their returns that they can file a lot of the software prepare, but it's really silly because there's nothing out there really that's yet in concrete. And we're just trying to figure out what's going on and what the new laws all say. So don't think you have to rush. We have not heard they're going to extend the tax season like they did last year, but we're certainly hoping they will, because this again is going to be a most unusual tax season. Let me close this so I can see. Can I minimize this? Okay. Okay, I wanted to talk first just to mention to you about your stimulus payments. And if anybody is asking you, you might be able to help them. The January 2021 stimulus payments, also called economic impact payments, and they're going to be called recovery rebate credits once they get to your tax return. If you anticipate that you should have gotten a stimulus payment and you haven't gotten it in January, you can go to the IRS website, and on the left side, there's economic impact payment. You click on that, that's EIP, and where's my payment? And then by putting in your social security number and your address, you should be able to figure out, in your date of birth, they'll tell you whether you were able to get a payment or not and how it's going to be sent to you or direct deposited into your bank account. If people have not gotten a payment, if there was some reason like they didn't file a 2019 tax return, they may not be getting the current stimulus payment. We will help you get that payment by filing a tax return for you. You're not going to be able to use the lookup tool and the tools that they had before to file like a tax return to get your stimulus. You'll have to actually file a tax return to get your payments. There's few enough people that if I want to ask a question as I'm going along, feel free to do so.
Is the stimulus check tax free?
Tax free, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, there is no tax on it. You're going to have to tell us how much you got, because we're going to reconcile it on your tax return if you normally file a tax return. And the only thing that can happen on this return is you get some more because you didn't get enough stimulus before. So some people will have some conditions that might get them an additional amount. If they had a new baby during the year 2020, or they got a new dependent. And so some people might get more money, or if they didn't get their payment in January, they'll get it by filing a tax return. But nobody has to pay anything back. So all that money you have is not taxable, and not for California either.
When you say a new dependent, does this mean like a son moving back into your home?
Well, only if they're under the age of 17. It's a child.
No.
So that's why a new baby or a child that maybe you have divorced parents and the one claims them 1 year, one claims them the other. And they could get, if they're under the age of 17 at the end of 2020, they can get some money for them if they haven't already gotten it. So we will help people. I know there's going to be people out there that have not gotten their check, and that's one of the first things we want to do is to get returns filed for them so that they can get money. This is even if they're not required to file a tax return otherwise. What we're anticipating that if they haven't received their payments and they don't otherwise need to file a tax return, that we will try to start filing returns for them on February 17th is our estimated time that we can start doing those tax returns for people to get them their stimulus payment. Actually, a lot of people instead, or if they're not getting direct deposit, a lot of people are getting debit cards now that say EIP on the envelope, economic impact payment. Those are legitimate replacements for government checks. Don't throw them away. They have $600 at least on them for you. So know that's the way things are going now on a debit card instead of a check if you normally got a check. So our appointment line is the 650-817-8672. And what that actually is 817 VMSC. Those letters and numbers go together. So 817 VMSC that you need
Never
to
knew
file.
that.
Hmm?
I never knew.
Oh, okay. Well, when it's a Google Voice number, and when I was looking for numbers, you could put in a word that you wanted to have or letters, and so I put in VMSC, and that's what I got. So sometimes I don't remember the 8672, so I know it's VMSC, and I can always figure it out. So for AARP.
Excuse me, Donna, is that a 650 area code?
Yes.
Thank you.
817.
VMSC.
So AARP is advertising the tax assistance you need delivered safely. And that's one of their major concerns for this year. Their primary audience is taxpayers 50 or older, but we do tax returns for anyone as long as it's in the scope of what we can do. What the items are on the tax return is the most important. But we do a number of returns for younger folks as well. And so there's going to be tremendous changes in order to keep everybody safe and to protect volunteers. This website, www.aarp.org/TaxAide, is where you'll be able to find out what actually is taking place. They haven't yet updated it with their new features that are going to make it easier for taxpayers to request help. So there's not yet any way to search for where you can get help. And also we'll talk about that you can do your own tax return and get help. And that procedure will be out there, hopefully starting in February. That's their goal, but it has not yet been updated for this year. So traditionally we had in person, in the past years, people would come in, they'd sit down with us. We had about 10 to 12 preparers in the Gold Star room, and we did appointments, 3 in the morning and 3 in the afternoon. And this, I should have made a big X to go through this because not this year. There will be no in-person tax preparation at this time anywhere.
Donna, excuse me again for interrupting. Do you mean to be sharing your screen with us? We're not.
Am I
seeing-
not?
You are not.
I am not? Why didn't anybody tell me?
No, you
Oh,
are,
I see it.
You are sharing. I can see it.
you are sharing it.
Yes.
Oh, I'm the only one who can't see it, I guess. Okay. Sorry, that's on me.
So don't know why.
Okay.
You're not on the phone.
Yes, I am.
Oh, well, if you're on, oh, I bet you're on your smartphone.
Yes,
Okay, so you should see it.
I am now. I just had to slide it a little bit.
Okay,
Sorry,
Alrighty.
thank you.
yes,
you.
okay. So this is going to be different. The only way we would ever return to in-person is if we basically had no COVID running around, and that's not too likely to happen during tax season. So what we've got to have is alternative ways that we're going to be able to help people. And actually what we can do is going to depend on the COVID status of where we are. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with a contact-free preparation to protect you and to protect our preparers. And then we will move on to other preparation methods as the status improves and more people get vaccines. Because a lot of people don't want to get out at all. They don't want to come see us. And a lot of our preparers don't want to see you. So they will be working from home. So what we're going to try, and this will probably be the only option. Everything is subject to change, but our thought now is that up until the 1st of March, we are going to try to do tax returns from documents that are submitted to us electronically as a scanned PDF. AARP is setting up a secure website to receive scanned taxpayer files, and we will get the intake sheet, we'll get your documents that we normally looked at, your last year's tax return, and then we will send those over this secure network to our preparers who are working at home, and they will prepare the return. They will call you just like, to have an appointment, an interview, just like they normally do. And then it will go to someone to be reviewed. And then we will provide you with a copy of your tax return electronically in a PDF file that you can print out. So for this model, the site is not open, and we will hopefully move to another model where we will have some drop off. But this, to start with, we want to see how much we can get started and figure out what's going on with our people working at home. So in order to do this, you have the ability to receive documents from us and the instructions electronically, and then you can scan your documents to send to us. Maybe if our seniors are not able to do that, and we anticipate that there are a lot that cannot, but there might be some who could enlist the aid of children, friends, relatives who might be able to help, that they could upload the documents electronically. The smartphones, tablets have great apps for being able to scan documents and to email them to us. So we would give you a special email address and that you would send the information to us. This is kind of like a graphic that you would reach out to us at our same phone number once we let you know that it's okay. And then to get started, you're going to get your documents. You're still going to have fill out our intake booklet. And we're also going to have a virtual preparation agreement that tells you how we're doing this. It's something new this year that you would sign and say that this is okay. I agree that you can, take my documents and prepare the return. Then turn them into a digital format, email them to us, AARP secure storage, and the documents actually the preparers cannot print them, they cannot download them. They're going to have security so that to protect those documents from being mistreated. They'll prepare the return, it'll be quality reviewed, and then you're going to get an electronic copy of your tax return that you could print out, or you can save it as a PDF. But we also still need to get the same form back that's signed, that it's okay to e-file your return, and then we'll go ahead and e-file it. So one nice thing about doing it this way is we're not limited to 1 day a week. The preparers can work on this whenever they have time at home. And so we anticipate that people can be working, if we can get the documents, we don't know about that if for people, on returns and get them back out, turned around, during those last couple of weeks of February. Most returns that are complicated, anything with brokerage statements or anything like that, nobody has their documents in order to even prepare the returns before March anyway. So these are pretty simple returns that people would have that would be available early. Okay, so does anybody have any questions on that? Comments? Suggestions?
I have a question. This intake booklet that you just mentioned, where does we get that? How do we get that?
Well, if you have the ability, it can be downloaded.
Okay,
It can be emailed and downloaded, or we're going to need to get it back. So it really needs to be in a PDF file.
okay,
So our mailing it to you wouldn't be real helpful in that sense,
Okay.
because it is available electronically.
okay. And is it at the AARP.org TaxAide site?
No, I don't know. It's not there now, I'm sure. And I don't know if it's there, but when we talk to you about it, we would definitely give you the information, because when you're uploading this, we're going to provide you with information such as, please scan your documents in this order. We're going to need to tell you things to provide us, like copies of your ID and your social security information, to ensure that the people are who they say they are. The intake sheet, and we want the documents to be scanned and sent to us, in a certain order, so that we're not jumping around trying to figure out what did you send us. It'll help.
Right.
Any other questions? So the second thing is a form of virtual tax preparation, but this one is that providing we have people that are willing to participate and see you, what we will do then is scan the documents at the senior center. And it looks like that we have enough people to at least do this 1 day a week. And if we can get enough people, we've talked to Bruce about maybe doing 2 days a week, because we used to do 10 appointments an hour. We're going to have probably most 2 scanners and maybe at the most 6 people. So we're looking at maybe 3 people an hour, instead of 10. So this is going to be a slow process, and we're not going to be able to do this very quickly, unfortunately, unless we can get more people from other sites that are not opening that will be willing to come help us in Redwood City. We're only looking right now at possibly 4 senior centers being open for tax returns in San Mateo County. So we know we're going to have a huge number of people wanting help, but most of our people want to stay home and prepare returns and don't want to come help us get the documents. So probably around March 1st, what we would do is we would schedule an appointment with you, and you would bring your documents to the site. And our thought is that you would stay in your car and we'd have limited contact. Probably have you fill out the intake sheet at that point in time. You give us your documents, we take them inside, we scan them, and we come back and give you your documents back to you. You would have to return at a later time to pick up your tax return, probably a week later. You're not going to get it immediately like you have before. It will be kind of similar to what the other idea is, except that we will scan them for you, and then they will be given to a volunteer and a reviewer, and those individuals will contact you with questions, prepare the return. If you have the ability to receive an email with the tax return, that's really good, because we can then mail it to you, email it, you can look at it, we can discuss it with you. If not, then we would be printing out a hard copy of it and then sharing that return with you and going over it. And we haven't quite got that piece together, how we're going to do this well while you're in your car and we're social distancing. So, but that's our goal, to be able to do that, have you look at the tax return and to then sign the agreement form, and then we will e-file it. Anybody have any questions on that? We hope that if the situation improves as far as COVID goes and we don't have so many sick people, we may be able to add an actual drop-off method whereby you could actually leave your documents with us. The first one is more time, because we have to scan them, takes time. We would give you a receipt for your documents, and then those would be actually given to the preparer. But again, we don't have very many preparers right now that want to actually take somebody's physical documents.
Okay,
So
that's what I really would like to do, is just to be able to drop off all the material at that time, sign the envelope and leave it.
Right, we understand that. And it's only within the last couple of weeks that AARP has said that that will be
Oh, good.
possible.
Oh,
They've always said we can't keep any documents, period.
oh,
So they're currently working on whether we'll be able to do that. That will come later, and they'll tell us what status we have to be in order to do that COVID wise.
Also, in the past, they've always asked us to bring the tax preparation from the year before,
Correct.
and that is not needed this time.
Oh, no, it is. We still need to the preparer needs your last year's tax return. Now, we may be able to pull up the last year's return and provide that in a PDF, because providing we did your tax return last year.
Yes. And the year
So
before.
if that's the case, if that's the case, normally right now in the normal situation, once it's been prepared, there's only very few people that actually can go back and pull up your prior tax return. We limit the access to it because we don't want people out there pulling it up. So we have to figure out how we're going to do this, because either we've got to have somebody download it and then upload it for the preparer. And so it's going to take a lot of coordination and a lot of time to do all of this. So we're going to move slowly. We have hopes that the season will be extended, or if not, that we might even be able to continue longer. This is really going to be the norm at all paid preparers as well, too. People are not going to be sitting down with them either. So they're going to be having to get documents to them somehow. But yeah, that may be coming. We're not promising yet, but we hope so too. We really do. We would much rather look at real documents, right? Than scan copies. So
Mhm.
yeah, it will make things a lot easier to be able to do that. Any other questions? So what I want to talk about just briefly is for people who feel comfortable preparing their own tax return. There are some free options out there. We have what we use is called TaxSlayer, and there will be information that will come out on that AARP.org/TaxAide website that you can actually use that software to prepare your own return. We'll give you a link. And if you have questions, then there will be people that are volunteering to answer those questions. There's no income or scope limits. You can do anything that you feel comfortable doing on that return. And you can reach out and ask for assistance. In fact, AARP has you signing up on the website to use that, and then they provide you with the link. You actually e-file your own return and you verify that it is has indeed been accepted. So we're not preparing it. It is actually your return, but you can do it without having to pay for software.
And
The
that's
only thing is go ahead.
federal only,
Excuse me?
federal only, correct?
No, federal and state.
Oh, both.
Yeah, it
That's-
prepares the state as the federal is being prepared. Yeah, federal
Wow.
and state. The software, you really need to know a little bit about what's on your tax return. It's not like an interview software like TurboTax would be, where it
Hmm.
asks you questions. You
I
kind of, you need to know a little bit about, here's the income section. It's pretty easy to use once you realize you go to the income section and then what do you have? You have a W-2 or you have Social Security. If your return is fairly simple, and you kind of understand how your return is, it's not too difficult. So one of the things about that is there is no income limit for people or whatever is on the return, because that's important, because the IRS has other free file software programs that you can use. And this will also prepare federal and state, but there are limited ones that prepare both federal and state, but they are available. And again, it's off the IRS website, irs.gov, and you can actually just look on the website for free file. You can just do a search for free file, and they have a tool. And the one actually that I put there is where the tool is. So that's not very easy without the copy of the PowerPoint. But if you just go look for IRS free file, they have a tool where you go through and you tell them what's on your return and what your income is, and it will tell you what's available. And what you have to be sure that you look for one that prepares California, because all of the states, some don't prepare California. And so, but there are a couple. I saw probably only one that I found that looked like it would go up to 72,000 and prepare everything. Again, you verify that your return's been accepted, and you file it yourself, just kind of like doing TurboTax. And then they also have fillable PDF forms. So for people who still want to prepare their returns on paper, it's almost impossible to get tax forms now. You have to download them. They're not at the post office sitting out there waiting for you. However, well, you can't go to the library now either. They usually there's a 1040 senior booklet, SR for senior booklet, which does have forms in it. And there's no difference in the 1040 and the 1040 SR, except the 1040 SR has got bigger print, so you can read it easier. They Congress told the IRS, do a tax return that's easier for seniors. Well, it's the same return, it's just bigger.
Hmm.
So it doesn't make any difference which one you actually have, but still you can download the forms, but these are fillable PDF files so that you could actually type in your numbers if you wanted to. There's no income limit on it. And it's just simply the electronic equivalent of paper forms. And I did not know until I was looking this up that you can actually e-file these forms. And the e-file, the PDF fillable forms, I thought they had to be printed and out and mailed in. And of course, in this situation with COVID, you don't want to mail the IRS anything you don't have to, because who knows how long it's going to take for them to handle it. So the free file fillable forms get you started. You can actually just search on free file and fillable if you want to look for them out there. And I believe the ones for free file out there, you can go ahead and you can try it. And I believe that they are available, but I can't believe that they're totally up to date and yet. Again, you can't e-file till February 12th. Okay. This was in the Avenidas newsletter. So any of you who are familiar with Avenidas in Palo Alto, in their last newsletter, this was the update that they put into their newsletter, that due to the current situation, ongoing stay at home, we are not able to make appointments for in-person at this time. We do not know when or if we will be able to offer on-site tax services this season. And that's kind of our, oh my God, I'm sorry about that. Assistance is only available for taxpayers who can be helped completely by phone, Google Meet, or other distancing measures. So what AARP is using is not Zoom, but we will make use of Google Meet to be able to talk to people that are able to do like Zoom conferences. Google Meet is similar. And then we will be able to talk and see, and otherwise it'll be strictly by phone. The taxpayer must have an ability to receive documents and instructions electronically and copy scan their documents to send to the tax counselors. If you're interested in this type of remote assistance, if anybody here is in the Palo Alto area, then you can call them and leave a message and a counselor will be assigned. So basically this is what we're going to start with first as well, is submission of tax returns from your documents, uploading the documents. Okay, and any questions?
I still have a question about the intake booklet.
Okay.
I've not ever used your services before. And so I don't know how I would how do I communicate with you? You guys don't know who I am. You know what I mean? Do I go on the appointment line or?
The phone number, the 650-817.
Yes.
8672.
Yes.
I will put messages on there as to what status. Right now, it basically says, we don't know what we're doing. Check back.
Okay.
Bruce will put information into the Sentinel probably, I'm guessing.
Yes.
And flyers or whatever, because the senior center always advertises what's going on. So once we have an actual start date, and know exactly what we're going to be doing more, then information will be out there.
Okay,
I have to tell you though, that since we haven't done your tax return before, we're going to put you at the end of our list kind of thing.
Yeah,
Because when we've done the returns before, when we go into our software, it brings up a skeleton of their information. So we already have their social security number, their address,
right,
what kind of information's on their tax return.
right.
So,
I understand.
yeah, so that way, since we're not seeing people in person, it really helps.
Okay. But you said that Bruce would update the Sentinel. I don't know what the Sentinel is.